All right, McClure. Final blast from the draft segment here for us. 2012 NBA draft featuring Anthony Davis at the very top of that list. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. This was a very top-heavy draft, and then there was a few steals there to be had in the second round if your GMs were savvy enough to actually find the talent that would produce in the NBA. The middle of the draft really was stinking like my laundry basket, man. That thing was that was a poor middle of the draft there for the NBA. McClure, why don't you kick us off with your bust of the draft?
My bust of the draft is the Sacramento Kings picking fifth, Thomas Robinson. And this has really been a pattern with the Sacramento Kings. When you look at these blasts from the drafts we've done, I think we started there in 2016 and went down. This has been a recurring pattern, man. This guy has absolutely stunk in the NBA. He played at Kansas, and everybody thought he was going to be a dominant player in the NBA, and he stunk. And here's a point here with the Sacramento Kings when you look at it. And when you look at it and you compare it to a Blazers team that has been drafting good, and we'll get to that later, when you draft guys like Thomas Robinson and Ben McLemore, and you're always at the top 8, top 6 in the draft, you're not going to be good. And that's why the Kings haven't been good for a long, long, long time, because they make decisions like this and draft people that haven't been good don't get it done. And, Thomas Robinson in this draft is a perfect example of that. I bet people are saying, Thomas who? That's right, because he was a nobody for the Sacramento Kings. He's not even in the league anymore. He was terrible. And when you look at the top players in this draft, the Kings definitely missed out on a star because they made the wrong decision here, and they've continued to do that.
Yeah, what a freaking bust there for the Kings. Oh, my Lord. You said it perfectly there. The Kings constantly picking in the lottery. And it's like, and what seems like another motif for me are Kansas players that never live up to the hype.
Yeah.
It seems like all these Kansas players this is a blue chip program here, and they almost never develop into decent NBA players. I don't know what's going on with that program. They've kind of slipped a little bit lately in college basketball, and they're just not producing the way that they used to in the NBA. For me, my bust of the draft, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist out of Kentucky at number 2 from the Charlotte Hornets. Surprise, surprise. The same story there for the Hornets as it is for the Kings. Constantly picking in the top half of the lottery, the top 8 picks there, and they never land their guy other than Kemba Walker, who isn't even there anymore. But, Kidd-Gilchrist, he's still playing for the Hornets here. He hasn't really been all that great. Average 8.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 1 assist throughout his career. Just kind of been the same player. But he deals with health issues. He is just he doesn't do anything great for you. There's been 2 seasons where he's averaged more than 10 points. 2.
Wow.
In his 7-year career. Are you serious right now? The dude never plays more than 30 minutes a game. He doesn't shoot particularly well. He doesn't do anything great that's eye-popping. He didn't even attempt a 3 in 2017, 2018. It's like, what's going on here with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist? He's not great. He's not great from the line. He's not great from behind the arc. He's an okay defensive player. But for the number 2 overall pick, when a guy like Bradley Beal was taken right behind him, or Damian Lillard or Harrison Barnes, these are players that could have impacted your franchise so much more than a Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Yeah, he couldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot at all. And that's somebody that you thought was going to be a big-time player, because him and Anthony Davis were on the same team there at Kentucky and were dominant, and it just didn't really translate there to the NBA. I'll tell you who translated nice in the NBA for my gem of the draft. It's Chris Middleton, in my opinion, drafted 39th by the Detroit Pistons, and then he was traded along with Brandon Knight to the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange for guard Brandon Jennings. Remember Brandon Jennings? And this is somebody, and Chris Middleton has been a really good complementary piece for Giannis. And he made the All-Star team last year, and deservingly so. He's a great player for that Bucks team. He averaged 18.3 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists last year. And this is somebody that's really turned out to be a great player. Drafted number 39 in the second round, man. That's an absolute steal. That's a gem. And that's why the Bucks are where they are today, because you drafted somebody like that who came up big.
Yeah, similar story here for me and my gem of the draft, Draymond Green, the 35th overall pick in this draft. From the production that we've seen from him so far, he deserved to be in the top 8. He's a Swiss Army knife, folks. This guy can do it all. He's played on just the Warriors. He's a 5-time all-defensive player, a 3-time champ, 2-time all-NBA. He's not a selfish guy. He goes in, he does whatever you need him to do. Does he shoot the 3 particularly well? No. Does he have to? Not at all. Any team would be lucky to have a guy like Draymond Green. He has been absolutely fantastic. And in the second round of this draft, you take Draymond Green? I mean, absolute gem. I love this pick for the Warriors, as we've all seen what he's become. One of the biggest role players on these championship rosters. He deserves everything that he has now. He's busted his butt from day one as soon as he got in the league. He's been very healthy throughout his whole career. He will step up for you if he needs to. He will take a seat if he needs to. This is the ultimate team player. He's the lifeblood of that Warriors team. He's the heart and soul there. He's the guy that really gets everybody else motivated. Great locker room guy. Excellent pick here at number 35 overall.
Yeah, and you said it. He's not going to be somebody that's going to give you 20 a night, but he's going to be somebody that's going to defend. He can defend any position on the court outside of point guard. He can rebound, and he's really become a really solid passer. I actually saw him last night bringing the ball up a little bit for the Golden State Warriors. So just an all-around guy. He contributed to those championship teams. He deserves to be the gem, a gem of the draft, as well as Chris Middleton. So, Dolby, your smart pick here, who you got?
For my smart pick of the draft, I have Mike Scott, taken by Atlanta, 43rd overall, out of the University of Virginia. What a steal, man. I love Mike Scott. This dude's out there, punching Eagles fans in the face at tailgates. He brings that dog mentality that we keep talking about here on that show. You need a few of those guys if you're going to try and compete. Mike Scott doesn't take BS from anyone. This dude is tatted head to toe. He's a great player. I love him in the locker room for the Philadelphia 76ers now. He's a stretch four, can come in, give you good minutes, play some decent defense, and really create mismatches on the offensive side of the game. I love Mike Scott. You see it week in and week out whenever we do the Blast from the Draft. It's these Virginia guys that are taken in the second round that really develop. They know where to be on the court. They just have to work on their game a little bit. Once you go from college to the NBA, that's all you got to do is work on your game. You don't got to worry about classes. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just basketball. So was he a finished product coming out of Virginia? No. Has he been a solid contributor on an Atlanta Hawks team that used to make deep playoff runs in the East, and now for a Philadelphia 76ers team that will continue to make playoff runs in the East? Absolutely. Yes, he's been a great player. For me, my smart pick of the draft.
Yeah, my smart pick of the draft is Jay Crowder, who was drafted by Dallas at 34. The rights went to Dallas there. Cleveland drafted him. The rights went to Dallas. And this is somebody who, throughout his career in the NBA, has been just a solid NBA player. You know what you're going to get from this guy. He brings a different kind of edge. He plays hard. He rebounds pretty well. He's a three. He can play four if you need him to. He's somebody. I think a good comparison here, maybe not as much as an offensive player, is Thad Young. I think he kind of is somebody that you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get 100% effort. He's kind of bounced around the league a little bit. Played in Boston. Cleveland, Dallas. He's been all over the NBA, and he is a great just player for teams that need other guys to step up, that you can trust to hit that shot from the corner, that can get you that rebound, that can maybe possibly get you that steal that you need. I'm not saying this guy's an elite player, but I'm saying this is somebody that what you're gonna get. He's consistent. And when you draft these type of guys in the second round that just play hard, you can get somebody like this. And, I think he was a really smart pick there for the Mavericks. And this is somebody who's bounced around the league and has just done a great job everywhere he's been.
I always compared Jay Crowder to like LeBron James light. Honestly, like he can do everything on the court for you. He's going to be smart with the basketball. He's almost built similar to LeBron, same kind of frame. Yeah, just a big guy. He's going to bowl you over in the paint. I like his game a lot. I think that's an excellent, smart pick there for Dallas, 34th overall. And my best pick of the draft, it's got to be the first overall pick, Anthony Davis. You didn't mess around if you were the Hornets at the time, or the Hornets at the time for New Orleans. You took the guy that was a clear-cut number one prospect coming out of Kentucky. He can do it all. 3-time All-NBA, 6-time All-Star, 3-time block leader, 3-time All-Defensive Player of the Year, 2012, 2013 all rookie. He is just the All-Star MVP in 2016, 2017. I mean, the accolades go on and on and on for Anthony Davis. Clearly, you see why the Lakers gave up such a haul for him in the offseason, but he had great numbers for New Orleans. He carried that franchise, really was the only part of that franchise that made them relevant year after year. He filled the stands for New Orleans. He brought that energy and intensity. He was a franchise player, probably the best player in the history of the Pelicans / Hornets. He was great. I mean, you don't mess around here. For his career average, 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists. You got to love a guy like that. He's stayed relatively healthy throughout his career, and the only reason why they ever made the playoffs during this 7-year stretch.
Because of him. And my best pick of the draft is Damian Lillard. I mean, from Weber State, unbelievable. There, I think he was drafted number 6 overall by the Portland Trailblazers, back-to-back drafts where the Portland Trailblazers were absolutely sensational. They drafted C.J. McCollum in 2013, and then 2012, Damian Lillard. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Wow. This is somebody for his career who's 23 or averaging 23.5, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. He won the Rookie of the Year made the All-Rookie team in 2012, 2013, 4-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, did win the Rookie of the Year in 2012, 2013. This is a guy that just brings it night in and night out and just is somebody that is a dog out there on the court. You heard us say that all night. You got to have that dog mentality. Damian Lillard has it, man. This is somebody who is just unbelievable. I'm a big fan of his, and that's why he's the best pick in the draft for me.
Yeah, for my WTF pick of the draft, I'm going to have to go Fab Melo for the Boston Celtics. The dude played in like 6 games professionally, played in Brazil, actually died in 2017. He's passed away.
Wow.
Yes. 2 years ago,
wow.
Passed away in Brazil. So what was going on there? It was pronounced natural causes. Of course, that's by a Brazilian doctor. Not sure how great their medical staffs are down there.
Jeez,
but
man.
Oh my Lord, WTF! Like, what's going on with Fab Melo? What happened there?
What happened there?
He didn't produce it all for you in the NBA. He was good in the D League for you. He made the All Rookie team in the D League. Wow. Played overseas and just never panned out. And just to go back to back here, they took Jared Sullinger with the 22nd overall pick, another bust. Yeah. So like this just a bad draft here. WTF Boston Celtics. What are you doing to these guys?
My WTF pick is Kendall Marshall. This is somebody who was drafted 13th overall by the Phoenix Suns and really just never lived up to the hype that he had at UNC. And again, I'll say it again, this is why the Suns are where they are, because you draft guys like this that don't do anything, and you pass on guys that you think are going to be good. Just another bad pick here for the Phoenix Suns. That's my WTF pick.
Yeah, the best team draft for us, we kind of agreed on this. Actually, we totally agreed on this. Best team draft would have been the Golden State Warriors, taking Harrison Barnes with the 7th overall pick. Festus Ezeli at the back end of the draft, who was a contributor at center for that championship-winning team. And also Draymond Green with 35th, who we touched on earlier. What a draft there. The building blocks for, a dynasty in Golden State.
Yep. Unbelievable draft there for Golden State. And when you draft guys that contribute to titles for years, that's why you are where you are, because you draft guys that contribute and make big time plays and help a team win. And that's why the Golden State Warriors are where they are today, because they built through the draft, gained some guys in free agency, and that's why they went to those finals year after year, because they do the smart things. And this is a draft where it all really started for the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. You got to love that draft. And for me, the worst team draft would have to be the Houston Rockets. They had 3 picks in that first round. They could have gotten any of those gems that we talked about earlier, or Draymond Green, or even like a Will Barton they could have had. Instead, they draft Jeremy Lamb, Royce White, and Terrence Jones. Are you kidding me right now? Those 3 picks? Jeremy Lamb's been the best of all of them, and that dude stinks.
Yeah.
He's been terrible. He scored 8,900 points in the league, but that's just because he's hung around here for a while. Royce White played a total of 3 games in 9 minutes for the Rockets before hitting the bricks because of mental health issues, which people were very, very aware of whenever he was coming out of college. And then they go back and they get Terrence Jones from Kentucky, who scored 5,500 points in the league, but really was never a contributor anywhere. He has since been out of the league. He played 6 seasons there, wasn't really a contributor for the Rockets. Just a really bad draft when he could have had any other contributing player. You could have taken a John Henson at 12. You could have had a Thomas Satoransky. You could have had a Jay Crowder or a Draymond Green, a Chris Middleton. Come on, guys. Will Barton. Any of these guys would have been so much better than drafting Terrence Jones or Royce White especially. Terrible draft for the Rockets. Evan Fournier at 20. These would have all been great picks here for the Rockets. Terrible draft.
Yeah, it's a bad draft there for the Houston Rockets, and I think an even worse draft for the Sacramento Kings. I already mentioned Thomas Robinson, and they also drafted Orlando Johnson in the 2nd round. When you look at it, you know what that could have been, guys? That could have been Damian Lillard, and that could have been Chris Middleton. That could have been Will Barton. That could have been Mike Scott. And instead, you draft those guys. What else is there to be said? I said it earlier on this segment, and I'll say it once again. This is why the Kings have been bad. The whole reason they're good or getting better now is because they drafted pretty well. They drafted Buddy Hield. They drafted De'Aaron Fox. They made some trades to get some guys in there that will help. They drafted Willie Cauley-Stein. That's why they are a little bit better. Now Willie Cauley-Stein has moved, but that's besides the point. They drafted him. This is why. This is why the Kings are bad, because they've done this, and from the beginning to the end, I've been looking at the Sacramento Kings, really, and I'm saying, man, you missed out on some talent, and you drafted in the top 6, 8 every year. Worst draft in 2012, the Sacramento Kings.
All right. That's been our show, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on Facebook Live. Appreciate the love and support.